Welcome to another edition of Transforming Agriculture in Nigeria. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Roots and tubers form an important category of crop farming in Nigeria, not just because they are an important food source for the people, but also because Nigeria has relative comparative advantage in the production of tuber crops and roots, as well as huge potentials for export. Apart from vegetables like carrots and onions, there are root crops like yam, cassava and potatoes that form an important part of the diet of Nigerians and many around the world. Our focus on this episode is yam, as we consider its production techniques, economic gains for the common Nigerian farmer, export potential, and how the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development is working with farmer groups and other bodies to boost yam production in the country. But all that will come after we take highlights of the events of the Ministry's diary. Thanks for joining us. Tonight, Nenonu says agriculture remains the best hope for Nigeria. Also, Maazu tasks research institutions on private sector partnership. Stay tuned for details.
It is on record that this administration sees agriculture as a
The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Muhammad Sabo Nenonu, has restated the strategic importance of agriculture to the nation's quest for economic development in the face of dwindling oil prices. He made this known during his speech at the recently organized retreat on food security in Abuja. Nenonu said agriculture proved its undeniable importance during the peak of COVID-19 that saw most other sectors grapple to survive.
When we will review the midterm performance of the economy arising from COVID and other problems, it was only the agricultural sector that is showing growth. All the other areas, the manufacturing sector, the service sector, and the other construction sector, they have all shown a declining trend.
He added that the growth recorded in the sector is also due to the uncommon determination and political will shown by the Buhari administration.
It is important that you realize, or it is pertinent to note, that the importance placed on agriculture in this country has never been as critical, as intensive, and as political as it is now. Everybody is looking at the agricultural sector for answers of the problems of this country.
The minister observed that the expectation of Nigerians and government on the sector is high and must be surpassed by staff and stakeholders whose duty it is to ensure Nigeria attains food security.
What many research institutions around the world do is they invent.
Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Abdulkader Maazu, has tasked research institutions across the country to seek partnership with the private sector to develop, perfect and commercialize their technologies and innovations. Dr. Maazu, who was speaking during a recent interview, said many of the technologies developed by the institutes like the National Stored Products Research Institute, NSPRI, Ilorin, can be put to good use by farmers and other members of the public.
The challenge that I discovered with that institution in Ilorin is they have the patents, they have the intellectual capacity, they have the researchers to invent, but they lack the financial resources to produce in that quantum that will serve the needs of Nigeria. So my advice to them is look out. What many research institutions around the world do is they invent. Once it's economically viable, then they go into partnership with private sector to produce so that they return their patents, but then it will serve the institutions, serve the private sector, and more importantly, serve the country.
The Permanent Secretary said that NSPRI has developed so many technologies that can help farmers reduce losses incurred due to inadequate post-harvest storage facilities.
Everyone knows in Nigeria, for those of us who are from the rural areas, that our farmers lose close to 60% of their harvest, especially of fresh produce. And that is a huge loss, not only to the farmer, but to the economy. And therefore, reducing post-harvest losses and managing harvest efficiently will be a key objective of any country that wants to achieve food security. So I was surprised of my visit to the Nigeria Agricultural Products Store Produce Research Institute, that they have more than 30 patents out of their innovations about preserving our food, from crops to fresh vegetables.
Muazu added that such technologies, if properly managed and commercialized, can lead to improved agricultural revenues by up to 40%. He called on such institutes like NASPRI and the National Center for Agricultural Mechanization (NCAM), among others, to look beyond government in their bid to get their technologies to those who need them.
Whether it's fried yams, yam chips, pounded or poundo yam, or bread made from yam flour, most Nigerians eat yam daily in one form or another. And while the finished product may be richly satisfying, the journey of yam is a tedious one. In Nigeria, that journey begins between February and April and ends sometime in November or December. But yam is not just a popular food crop in Nigeria. It is a global commodity, and Nigeria has a huge role to play. In our segment, Partnership for Development, we'll hear from farmers and farmer groups, their stories and aspirations, as well as the potential of yam as an export commodity in Nigeria. Stay with us.
We try to avoid any chemical form of fertilizer or anything.
So from this day, what we learn here, that is what we take to our various schools.
I hope you are following the normal procedure of feeding. We'll be fascinated seeing things moving.
It is nearing harvest in Nigeria. Yam farmers at the Ugondo community of Makurdi local government area in Benue State cannot wait. We witnessed the first few harvests with them. In this area, several varieties like the Anasue, Hambakwase are cultivated. It is the Mbakia cluster, a community of 50 yam farmers created to ease knowledge and imputes sharing. Madam Ingizan Chahul is the coordinator of this cluster. For her, it's been more than 60 years as a way of life. She says yam farming is a year-long activity.
Yam planting is tedious, very tedious, because see, already I have started making heaps, which I will plant by ending of March next year. I will start eating by August or September. You see how it takes long? But when you harvest your yams and store, when you look at it, you feel happy. You also get money from it.
With age comes experience. For her, It is now a matter of livelihood, especially since she retired from the civil service.
I will say it, I'm a pensioner. For 20-something months now, over 2 years, they have not paid me. But I'm feeding well with my children. And I'm happy to tell you that this is not my only farm. I had one in Boko local government.
On this other farm, the Akpaku system, one that requires larger, spaced out heaps for larger tubers, was adopted.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
For long, the best yam farmers were those who produced the largest tubers, but as part of an ongoing conversation, the National Association of Yam Farmers, Processors and Marketers is calling for a more improved system of farming. That's one of the reasons why these farmers have been organized in clusters.
We have at the seed yam level, we have new seed yam technologies, starting from the tissue culture, the temporary bioreactor systems, the aeroponics, and we are able to now have seed yams that we are able to give to the farmers to improve on their productivity. For example, this coming Wednesday, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture is going to give to these farmers that you see here today improved seed yam for dry season yam farming. We have not been practicing dry season farming for yam, but it is the considered opinion of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture that there's no reason why we cannot do irrigated yam farming.
As he says, knowledge about best practices and market requirements is also important for these farmers.
We are able to train the farmers in the clusters on the export standards. So because they know what the export standards are, right at the level of harvesting, they are able to put the export yams on one side, the non-export. Because the non-export standard can still be sold locally. So they separate the export standard from the non-export. And the export standard usually, because of the cost of yam in the US and in the UK, will attract a higher price here in Nigeria. So the farmer is also able to benefit from the export market.
This new orientation also requires a new method of propagation using ridges.
We are trying to change the farming systems. We are changing the farming systems from planting on mounds to planting on ridges. Of course, it is a new innovation. So you will not see many of the farmers now having at the level of land preparation the ridge system. But we are hoping that as we begin to have demonstration farms that has to do with the ridge system, the farmers will gradually begin to find that you must not plant on a mound.
And there are so many reasons for this advocacy. The farmer is able to produce 10,000 tubers per hectare as against 4,000 the mound system will allow. The ridge system is more attuned to produce export sizes of between 2 and 3 kilograms of tubers, as well as sizes required for mechanized processing. The annual labor and skill required to create mounds are becoming increasingly scarce. The ridge system will allow for mechanization by way of high clearance ridges, and cost of production per tuber is reduced, among others. The search for answers took us to Array Field Farms in Jigwada, Nasarawa State, where a retired Major General is already applying the new method of propagation. Along with him and his staff, we go first-hand to witness his first harvest using the method. As a first experiment, there are positives to take from this.
The whole process is an experimentation on the new way of propagating yam. Now, like I said earlier, the main idea behind this is to be able to produce yam in quantity. And you will have more quantity in the ridge system than you will have in the heap system. And yam is propagated according to the market, niche market where your farm is situated. Mostly people prefer very big yams for celebrations, as gifts, for festivals, etc. But the average Nigerian will like to pick a 2-3 kilogram of yam that he can afford than the 10, 15, 20 kg yam that is for celebration. So actually, from what we have seen now, though we have very small yam, but we have lots of it along the ridge.
The small tubers of between 2 and 3 kilograms are also the recommended export sizes, and indeed, the system shows promise to achieve such sizes in large numbers. As an enterprise, the export market is a big target for Rayfield, one they have exploited over the years. But this persevering entrepreneur says a lot is desired to make the system better. For one, transporting yams from northern Nigeria to the seaports in the south would require specialized storage facilities like a reefer container. Hiring one would make the process very expensive.
What the government now needs to do to alleviate this problem is to either form a cluster of containers, reefer containers, where farmers can come and hire at subsidized rates and be able to transport this to the port, export port. Another way of doing it is to see that all the checking processes are done one hand in wherever location that is central to the yam producing localities. You come in there with your product, you do all the inspection by custom, all the agencies of government that are involved in quarantine, one bus stop, and then all that is done. And then from there, once they are in the container, they're already certified and they are going straight to the port.
Whether it's Nasarawa or Benue, yam goes beyond cultivation and export. There is also the need to look into value addition. Yam can be processed into flour for poundo or for composite bread and cake, all popular foods and confectionaries. There are already companies engaged in the production of yam flour using mechanized systems. However, if you are the typical traditional Nigerian man who loves the beaten pounded yam, but modernity has caught up with your household and its members won't just pound, there's a local technology we found in Makurdi. It takes only 1 minute once the yam is cooked.
Actually, if you've not mentioned it, I would not even have noticed that there's a difference. That this is not the one that is pound the normal way. I really enjoyed it and I think it's cool, very wonderful.
Our curiosity drove us, in company of Professor Itwange, in search of the man who fabricated these pounding machines. Using simple machines, equipment parts and components in his crude makeshift workshop, this young artisan is saving energy and time in preparing one of Nigeria's fondliest delicacies.
It's moving actually, but the more the customer come, they are not complaining because of the actually material that I used to use for it. It's good material. I didn't used to use material that will pan something, you will see the iron inside. We used to use stainless material, mostly the pot. You have to be stainless so that when you pan it, you see what you pan very neat, and you will not see even swell around something inside or something this thing.
At more than 40 million metric tons in 2019, Nigeria is still by far the largest producer of yams in the world, accounting for almost 70% of global production. What is needed is to enhance activities within the value chain to promote local industries and provide jobs, as well as simplify the export process to increase foreign earnings for a crop that is both traditional and economical to Nigerians. Transforming agriculture in Nigeria continues. Our next segment, Farmers Speak.
Nigeria as whole is an agricultural country, but Benue State is the food basket of the nation. Then I can advise the youth. You know, many youth, they will graduate. Many youth will graduate and will still be saying there is no job opportunity. But wise people do come back to farming. Because if you are doing farming, there's no way you can't suffer for. For instance, you can't suffer for hunger. Because you won't lack food in your house at all.
Oil palm is a commodity that is beneficial for the production of palm oil. It constitutes an essential ingredient of typical Nigerian diets and meals and serves as a commercial product for the production of soap. The organic waste matter that is produced when processing oil palm, including oil palm shells and oil palm fruit bunches, can be used to produce energy. Additionally, the palm oil that has been used to fry foods can be converted into methyl esters for biodiesel. The palm fruit is a reddish about the size of plum and grows in large branches. Each fruit is made up of an oily, fleshly outer layer, pericarp, with a single seed, palm kernel, also rich in oil. Human use of oil palms may date back to about 5,000 years in coastal West Africa. It is thought that Arab traders brought oil palm to Egypt. Today, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Colombia, and Nigeria are the biggest producers of palm oil, with Nigeria producing about 0.94 million tons of palm oil. Between 2010 and 2020, the palm oil crops in the country increased, registering the highest in 2010, when production grew by 14% compared to previous year. In the last 3 years, the production remained stable at over 1 million metric tons. Nigeria plans to invest 180 billion naira to increase its palm oil production to 5 million tons a year by 2027. Nigeria ranks third in the world in terms of land area planted with oil palm, but it is only 5th largest palm oil producer due to low yields.
As the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development continues to drive policy initiatives to grow the sector, Nigerians and investors should expect to see valuable incentives and support to continue to produce crops and commodities necessary for the economic revolution that the country truly needs. What's more, it's important for operators to take bold steps towards adopting technologies and methods that will improve their productivity and revenues. Join us again next week as we explore more strides and opportunities in the sector in a bid to transform agriculture in Nigeria. Stay safe and bye for now.